Like, can I pass out right now? Like, you are here, y'all. We have Tiffany, the Budgetnista, in the building. Thank you so much for being with us. You guys, she is a financial guru. She is an educator. She is inspiring, an author. Her platform is absolutely crazy. And she is spending time with us today on The Time Is Now. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kasiopia.
How's it going? How are you? How are you thriving and making something out of nothing in 2020 right now?
I'm doing well. I pulled my neck a little bit, so you see my little, like, what's the name, tape? But other than that,
you're like,
I know, right? But other than, honestly, 2020 has been a full circle moment for me, especially like financially, because the last recession caught me off guard, so I was prepared for this one. So
you were like, hold up, you already were bracing yourself the impact, like, oh, this feels familiar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you were ready. And many of us, I'm trying to get ready. So that's what we're going to do. So if you guys are just tuning in right now to The Time Is Now, get your pens and your papers because we're going to learn. I'm taking notes and I'm not playing, you guys. Okay. So what I love most about you, Tiffany, is that we have something in common. You started off as an educator. Yeah. You were teaching the little ones in preschool in New Jersey. Tell us about that journey and how it led you to where you are today.
Sure. So what happened? So I actually grew up in a household where my father and mom taught my four sisters and I about money all the time. So it was part of just, I didn't think anything of it. It's like the same way some kids grow up learning how to cook in the kitchen. Yeah. We learned how to budget at the dinner table.
Right.
And I didn't think of it as a career. I went to school, and when I was in college, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do or be. Because, what do you know? You're like 17, 18, a kid.
Right.
So I chose a business major just because I felt like I guess I could get a job afterward. And my last year there, I realized that I didn't like any of the internships that I had taken, but I really loved teaching. I'd always taught preschool. I'd always babysat. I loved teaching. So I decided to finish my degree, but then to become a teacher. And I thought I would be a teacher for life. I taught preschool and I loved it.
Oh. Yes. The little ones, the little ones.
Yes. Yeah, and there's honestly, there's nothing wasted because my assumption was, okay, I'm going to go teach preschool. Then I went back to get my, I got my master's in education and I took other certifications and I thought that I would leave that grade, but I ended up staying there for 10 years.
10 years.
10, and as an educator, that's like.
Listen, that 10 years, especially with preschool, is like.
Yes.
Like a whole nother gift. I teach middle school, I taught high school, but preschool is
you gotta be like, I'm telling, because I know you are in administration right now, and yes. You know that you put your best teachers with the youngest grade.
Absolutely.
Because it is very difficult to take a little person from no knowledge to knowledge when there's no foundation, because you have to build the foundation.
Absolutely.
And so it seemed so random that I became a preschool teacher, but it really set the stage for me starting the Budgetnista. During that time, I used to help my friends with their financial stuff. The parents used to come to me and ask me for assistance, and I would teach them during nap time when the kids were sleeping. So I did like all this volunteer work. But what teaching preschool taught me was how to take a person from no knowledge to knowledge, how to build a foundation when there isn't one. And so when I started teaching financial education, I really employed all of those lessons I learned as a preschool teacher and put that into the Budgetnista.
And that's what I love about you, Tiffany. The Budgetnista, like everything you give us, it's bite-sized. We can take it in and we can apply it. And that is like what you learn to do in preschool. And as a true teacher, I think when we think about finances, especially as women, it can be intimidating, right? It can be like, yo, I don't even know where to start. And I love it because whenever I go to your platform, go to your website, read a book, I'm like, oh, she's talking to me. You guys, she's talking to us and we can actually do it. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. Thank you for meeting us where we are and helping to take us to the next level. So you were preschool and then you're part of your story there. And then how did you shift? Where did that transition come in?
So it was forced. The 2008-2009 recession caught me off guard. Yeah. I didn't think teachers lost their jobs. Yeah. And but my school was a nonprofit-based school. And so that meant that all the funding that they were getting from all these corporations that were losing, their money, they could no longer afford to donate to this childcare center. And so 3 days before the new school year, and so as an educator, now some of us get our money through the summer, and some of us got to save it. So some of us that last week of summer, we're like, ooh, right? I'm ready to go back because my money's low. So 3 days before the new school year was set to begin, we got a call saying there's no more school. And I was like, but what about these bills? And so I didn't know. Thankfully then, I applied for unemployment. I ended up having to move back home with my parents. I was 29 going on 30. I lost I had bought a condo by the time I was 25. I lost my condo to foreclosure after some years of not being able to afford it. At the time, I had been with my boyfriend at the time for like 6 or 7 years. We broke up. I spent all my savings trying to save my house. It was I always say at age 30, I had less money than I did when I was 16. It was a really dark and hard time. And it was from there that I started to build the Budgetnista, because I said, as I was building myself back up, at first I felt sorry for myself, right? At first. But then as I was fixing myself, I looked to the left and right, and so many of my friends were struggling. And so, when you're a teacher, the teacher in me kicked in and was like, well, girl, I don't know all the things, but what I do know, let me teach you.
Oh, Tiffany, I think I just want to stop us there, because you said you lost everything. And it's so hard. I think so many of us, especially right now in this pandemic, we're losing things. We see that our nation is in a place where people are like losing loved ones, losing jobs, starting businesses, losing careers. And in that, you picked yourself up and you created this. Are you looking back on this like?
Yes, I was walking the other day. I try to take a walk at least every other day. Like that's my happy place, just to zen that walk. I listen to podcasts, talk to friends. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I think 32 probably was like my lowest. I was sleeping on my sister's couch. I was $300,000 in debt. And I just remember thinking, ma'am, I don't know that it gets worse than this. Like foreclosure, a 530 credit score, all the things. Like I had a 99 Toyota Camry that could barely run. And I just remember thinking like, everything's gone, sis.
It's gone.
And now my net worth is 7 figures. I run an 8-figure-a-year business with brown women that look just like me, and we serve other women that look just like me. And I thought, girl, in like less than 10 years, won't he do it? This turned it all around.
You are not where you are. You are not your current circumstance.
Yes. And you know what it really taught me? It taught me that I needed those things to get here. So it teaches me how to look at challenges differently. I used to look at challenges as something that I was doing wrong, but now I realize challenges are to teach you what to do right, that they're necessary in the journey.
Okay, everybody stop. Teacher moment. Take out your pen and paper. You have educators here. Write this down. Tiffany, that's it. Because we always look at these failures, we look at these shortcomings, these challenges, and you said, what can I do better?
Yes, the challenge is there to teach you the lesson. You cannot so here's what I thought to myself, like everybody wants to get to door 10. And you can't understand why you're not there at door 10. But what you don't realize is, if you skip doors 1 through 9, when you get to door 10, girl, where's the key? At door 2. Had you went through it, you would have got to girl, where's the map you're going to need when you get to door 10? At door 3. Girl, what's the secret password at door 10? At door 4. Girl, what's the person's name you have to ask it for at door 10? At door 5. So what I realized is that you have to go through those things. You want to get here, sis. You're not even ready for here. You're not even ready for here. So I could not maintain and sustain where I am now without 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 9. I needed all of those challenges. I needed all those steps and lessons, because I'm at door 10 now. And I'm like, oh, I learned this in 2008. Oh, 2013. That's why I failed at that.
If I tell you about my 2013, if I tell you about my girl, we won't go there. But I'm gonna call you. But listen. That is it. And we've been having this conversation on the show about how this pandemic has allowed us to really sit down and reflect and connect those God dots, right? The live will be saved, you guys, we will be saved. Connecting those God dots, because that's almost like the door and the path that you're just explaining. But then being able to look back and say, I'm doing it. I mean, I'm
Yes.
doing it where and how I want to do it, but I'm doing the one part of it. I'm
Yep.
starting it today. Oh, and I think people need to hear this, Tiffany, because I think when people look at your platform, they look at your accolades, they look at you've been in the Times, you know, New York bestseller, Amazon, all this, they feel like it starts there.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. And literally this, it hasn't even been half here. This is probably like the last 1/10 hasn't been right here. You know, this year in particular was particularly good. 10 years later. 10 years later, it's not an issue of you're doing something wrong. You just haven't done it long enough. You know, like one of my favorite books that helps to illustrate this, and I encourage everyone to read it. It's called The Alchemist.
Oh, you know we love The Alchemist. Yes.
Right? By Paulo Coelho, because that book teaches you that the journey and the dream are one of the same. You cannot have the dream without the journey, that you have to collect the lessons along the way. Like, you know, the rush to the end, it's honestly, and you see that happens. Every once in a while, God will allow somebody to rush to the end. He just be like, look at you, I'm prepared, and I'm ready. Right?
You rush and you go, and
Yes.
literally you run into the wall.
Yep.
I'm a Speedy Gonzalez person. I want to be Oprah today. I want to
Yes.
have this today. I want the mansion today. And this is so speaking to me. People in here are going off because you said you cannot have the dream without the journey.
Yeah, and it's The Alchemist, like chemist, alchemist. I see some folks are asking. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Yes, and now it's taken some years for me to understand that. I remember I read an article once, like explaining the emotional difference between folks who reach millionaire status and folks who reach billionaire status. I wonder, how do you make that emotional? Like, what does that look like? Yes, making more money, but it's an emotional switch. And what they found is that billionaires looked at challenges differently.
Oh.
And that they didn't look at them as bad things. They actually got excited by challenges because it was a clear indication of growth. So I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, I grew really fast. I got what's called growing pains. That's when your joints and your ligaments you're growing faster than your body can actually catch up with. Wow. So I was limping for like a few months because my body was like, girl, parts of you are growing faster than the other.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to have crutches for a few months. And then, you know, I got to the height that I was supposed to be at. But literally, if you're going through challenges now, a billionaire is excited because they're like, wait, this is a growing pain. It is a clear indication that I am leveling up. Oh. Because if you're not finding no challenges, sis, that means you're exactly in the same place you've been. There's no growth in that. So when a challenge comes to me now, I remind myself to reset my mindset and say, get excited, Tiffany. You are leveling up. You are leveling up. Girl, good. Let this be hard. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the jump up. Like, this is my APBs in ninth grade. Girl, it's about to be tall.
Can we all just stop? Because, like, we all are ready to cry. We are hitting this, and I know that we're talking about this in a really empowering way, but I know there's people who are really facing some tough challenges.
Yes.
And how do you let's switch a little bit into money, right? How do you take the little bit that you got, though, right? Because some people may feel like, I'm ready, my mindset is there. Because we're discussing mindset. We're discussing how these millionaires really look at the challenge and take that on with zest. Take that on like, I'm going to crush this. But how do you do that when you're in a place of deficit? Or you're in a place of like, I can't even see how I'm going to get myself out of this?
So what I had to learn was, because I have been broke, meaning like literally, like I said, negative $300,000 in debt, when I literally would think to myself, okay, how can I make this $5 last 2 weeks? That, so I have been when I don't have, like if there was no sister's couch, then I don't know where I would have stayed, So I remember it took me a while to realize that you cannot navigate at normal capacity when you are at a deficit. So the mistake I made was to try to keep up with everything when I didn't have enough. Like legitimately not have enough. I'm not talking about like, should I get my hair done or should I have cable? No, I'm talking about, do I have enough to eat today? Likely not. Let me see if I can go to my girlfriend's house. She's making dinner. Like that enough. So I had to learn, and I give you this permission, and I wish I had given this to myself because I wouldn't have stressed myself out as much, to focus on your health and safety budget. That's when you look line item by line item at all of your expenses and ask yourself, do I need this thing to maintain my health? Do I need this thing to maintain my safety? If not, it can wait. That means cable can wait, credit card can wait.
Yeah.
All the people can wait. I mean, literally, there were moments when I was like, if one more debt collector calls me, and yet here I am today. But if I did not take care of my health, if I did not take care of my safety,
Yes.
then I wouldn't be here. So it is like debt collectors and bills will have you thinking it's the end of the world. No, the end of the world is you not being here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I finally learned to make them wait. And then I also learned how to send a cease and desist letter. That is bad. Google cease and desist. That's those bad boys said, do not call me. You can email me here and you can send me letters here because you still want to have communication. And then I didn't pay what was not essential. And as I made a little more, I paid a little more. Made a little more, I paid a little more. It took years for me to get on track. But I finally chose me. You are your first priority. Oh. Your bills are not your first priority. I promise you, it's okay. You are your first priority. Take care of yourself first. Get stabilized first and then move forward.
Tiffany, thank you for that. Because I feel like when you're getting those calls, and look, we've all been there, okay? Now, thank you, I'm not there in 2020, but in 2013 I was. In 2014 I was. And I love that because that can keep you up at night, Tiffany. It can get into your psyche. It can get into you feeling like, I'm supposed to be here. You know, you talked earlier about your story about you had bought your first home at 26. You had grew up and this was a financial place and you found yourself on someone's couch. And you were picking yourself back up, but you took care of you so that you could be hit 10 years later.
Yes. So I could finally get to a place where I was like, I could pick up the phone and call the debt collector myself. It was like, all right, I got it. I know I've been the way you got it, you can pay it off. Right? I could be more proactive, but you can't get there if you're trying to take care of everyone. Because if you don't look after yourself, there is no you. What do they say on the airplane? Like, you put your mask on first. Take care of your health and your safety expenses first. You might need to reach out to the municipality for rent assistance. You might see about, because I remember I was looking to see, do I qualify for food stamps? Because I don't have enough money for food. You know, like you might have to do all of those things, and so be it. So be it. Yeah. You want to stabilize yourself in a healthy, safe environment. And then because one thing I know of this, I know you look as being an educator, that one thing they teach us in school is the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right?
Hello.
Which basically says that, like, especially as it relates to kids, that there's a hierarchy of need, that if you are hungry, you cannot learn. If you are afraid, you cannot learn. If you are hurt, you cannot learn. There's a hierarchy of human needs that needs to be met in order for the next need to be important to you. So it's going to be very difficult for you to thrive in one place if you have not taken care of your basic needs. Take care of those needs first. Because once I was like, okay, I have food to eat, I have a safe place to stay. Now I can be like, all right, now let's look around. I can babysit. Because, I can tutor. Because all of a sudden, I can see solutions because my basic needs are met. Make sure your basic needs are met.
I love that. And I love that because once your basic needs are met, then you can tap into, like, what am I good at? What do I like doing that I can monetize, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, here comes little small baby hustles. And even when I started, so I'm a teacher, but the summer I was broke. And so I started my own wedding planning business. And it was a business where I could provide a service, but I didn't have to pay a lot of money for inventory or buy into it or have a lot of overhead costs. And so I love that piece that people are thinking about, how do you get a little bit extra money? Well, boo, if you are struggling a little bit, I need you to get active after you got your health and safety together. I love you mentioned that. What are you great at? What is everybody else doing that you can, like, charge a little bit for? It
doesn't have to be. I think people think it has to be the next you got to be the next Amazon. No, literally, I was like, Tiffany, what am I good at? First of all, you better put this teaching degree and to work. Who doesn't want a certified teacher to babysit? You know how easy it was to find people? They're like, heck yeah, woman, we would love you to babysit. And then tutoring. Who doesn't want a teacher to tutor? So that's what I started with. I started with babysitting and tutoring just to put a little extra money in my pocket. I did those studies where it was like, I remember I did this study once where they were like, I went to New York and they had me pretend I was booking a trip to Universal Studios. They gave me $200 because they were building a new website. So you can find studies online. There's like literally, I think it's like called focusgroups.com, where you can find studies that you could do. So any little $150, $20 I can make here and there, so in the beginning, you don't have to think to yourself long term. Like, think to yourself, what can I do to put money in my pocket now? I would always keep in the back of my mind, what are some long-term things I can do? But in the meantime, I was also stretching to see what am I able to monetize? I didn't realize that I was going to tap back into me being a teacher and create the Budgetnista. But those moments of learning, like, I did a lot of volunteer work too. Now, because here's the thing that I want you to remember too, that giving activates abundance. That even in your struggle, there is excess in every blessing, right?
Giving
That is the nature.
activates abundance.
Yes.
Stop. Teacher moment. Take out
Yes.
the paper. Write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Giving activates abundance.
Yes. Because what you do is, so I remember the best lesson I ever learned from my pastor was that in every blessing there's excess. So this is your blessing. Maybe your blessing is you're beautiful. You are supposed to use that blessing to enjoy, and then from the excess, use your beauty maybe to bring light to cancer research. Maybe you're super, super smart. You're smart to start a business or whatever, and then use your smarts to also help cure, I don't know, alopecia, right? Or like maybe you've got $1 million. Great. You enjoy it. You are meant to enjoy your blessing, but you're meant to also give from that overflow, no matter how small it seems, because in that you start to truly reap what you sow. If you sow a seed, it's going to grow into plants that generate additional seeds. Giving activates abundance. So even in my lowest moments, I always gave, and the seeds that I sow when I was giving, I was doing a lot of volunteer work and I was figuring it out. When I started the Budgetnista, those very same organizations hired me later because I had sown those seeds. That wasn't intentional, but when they were like,
yes,
you got a thing going on? Well, girl, I remember you from last year when you came to help us out.
Yes.
Giving activates abundance.
And that's, what, Tiffany, this is activating this too, because it's even in your storm, you were still showing up and giving. You were still showing up and giving light. You were still showing up and bringing your best self. So when they opened up, they were like, call Tiffany.
Yeah.
Call Tiffany. And
still to this day,
receive that call.
Still to this day, 10 years later, and let me tell you, the blessing that has been my life to this day. I remember I worked for this huge car company. They hired me to be a brand ambassador for like 2 years. 6 figure, this 2-year contract got me. When they called me, I was like, how'd they find me? It was someone who I'd helped for free with her finances. For 2 years, she had been advocating on my behalf at that company, like, we need to get Tiffany. Tiffany's amazing. We need to get Tiffany. Right? 2 years, this woman who I never really met, I just helped her with her finances because I knew she needed help. And I was like, girl, I'm not going to charge you because you're struggling right now. Because giving activates abundance. When you plant those seeds will go out and work on your behalf. I think that people, I was just talking to my team about this, that too many people think that in business, it is about taking, that I want to switch that. The more that you give, the more that you show up and pour into those that you've been called to serve, the more that you truly receive. We have built an 8-figure a year business, $10 million a year off of giving and service.
10
Come
million.
on now.
Hold on, everybody. 10 million?
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany.
Yes.
Okay.
If that's not abundance, I don't know what is.
Girl, listen. Let's all just touch, okay, and receive. Tiffany. So let's get to this. I'm getting my abundance. I'm focused. I'm back on my 2 feet. How do I start to save? How do I start to save when I'm just getting back and I'm paying everything on time? I think I'm telling you my story, right? So girl, so I'm in a good place, but it's like, there's some months that I have surplus, right? There's some months that I'm like, this was a good month. And there's some months where I'm like, ooh, I better stay out of home goods. So how do you start to save? What is a small, people say, oh, put up 10%, put up half of your earnings. Is that realistic?
Well, I say from this, especially when things are tight, then you can look at, let's just say you have a regular 9 to 5, looking at your budget, how much do I need for expenses? How much do I need for bills? What's left? Do your budget on paper. Yeah. What's left? Let's just, if for now, if it's $20, $30, that's fine. Make that a bill. Make that a bill and have it automatically transferred to an online-only savings account because they pay higher interest, right? Even better, if you have the type of job that will split your paycheck, split it before you get it. So you say, hey, job, cute how you give me that $30. Send it on over to, give me my regular paycheck and put my $30 over here because we
if you give it to me, Tiffany, if it's in that account, I was talking with the producer of the show and we were saying how, you could spend $10, 50 times. And you're like, I only spent $10.
Yeah.
Or listen, I will go to the 99-cent store and I will feel like, oh, I am Beyonce in here. I'll take that. And 2 of those and 15 of those.
Yes.
And it adds up. So it's
Yep, it does.
You're saying make that a bill. Don't even have it hit your account. So
have it transferred automatically. Now, if you work for yourself or your income kind of fluctuates, right?
Yeah.
Then what you have to learn is to put what I call the pot in between you and your payment. So if someone should not be paying you, they should be paying the pot. The pot can be, it's typically your checking account. So you might say, you know, there's some months I make $5,000 in a month and some months I make $2,000. But if you know what, I want to pay myself $1,500, $2,000 a month. So you have the pot pay you your $2,000 a month. And when you get paid, that payment goes into the pot. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 2, sometimes whatever that is, the pot is paying you consistently because you might have an amazing month, 1 month that's really meant to cover you months from now. So if you spend all your money in January, when you need it in November, it's not going to be there. So pay the pot and the pot pays you. Now that pot can also transfer money to your online only savings account too. Another reason why I like online only savings accounts is that one, they do pay a higher interest because they don't have the same overhead as a regular bank because they don't have as many locations. But then 2, it makes your money inconvenient. And inconvenient money gets saved. Because if you anything like me, if it's on my debit card, it's gone. So if my money's on bank,
if it's on it, I'll be like, great, I'm saving, I'm putting it. Or even, girl, if it's in your top drawer. How many of you guys, underneath the mattress in the top drawer somewhere? Not really. But you'll start pinching off of it. You'll get 50 off of it.
Yes.
You'll get
I'm telling you,
17.
hide it in your online only savings because here's what happens.
Yeah.
The only thing that you're you can go there's like an Ally Bank or Barclays, or you can go to this site called magnifymoney.com and look for online only bank. And so when you put your money there, it takes about 24, sometimes up to 72 hours to transfer your money from your savings back to your checking. That means it's going to force your hand to be like, girl, you got to wait 3 days. You sure you want this shirt from Target? Before that money gets back, it forces your hand to save and makes your money inconvenient, and inconvenient money gets saved.
I love that. Oh, we can talk forever because and people are going crazy. You're my boo. And I'm loving this, Tiffany, because I'm thinking about how our own mindset around money, right? If you've never had it and you get it, you'll be like excited to get a little bit and you go crazy. You know, we have, especially in the culture of like hip hop culture, social media, everybody's living so fabulously, you know, and it's like, how do you deal with that, Tiffany? How do you see that but still set your goals where you're saying, this is what my company is doing, this is what I'm doing? Or do you got a closet full of Birkins and Louboutins, you know?
No, you know, I never, because one, it's like a good and a not so good thing. I still have PSTD, right? Like post-traumatic stress, because from 2000. So sometimes I actually live too frugally. Like I have a financial planner because I needed someone to pry my money out of my cold dead hands. Because she's like, hey, girl, if your car is not starting, get another car. I'm like, I know, but what if tomorrow nobody likes the Budgetnista? And then she's like, and even if they don't, you still, girl, I see your account. You would still be good. Yeah. So there's that part, but also too, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't grow up like I grew up with 4 sisters. So you know, money was not in abundance in our household. Yeah. So right away, I didn't grow up with Jordans. I didn't grow up with getting my hair wrapped every 2 weeks. And so I learned how to be okay either way. And now that, but for me, what helps to keep me on the straight and narrow is that I want to accomplish what I call true wealth. So true wealth, some people have true wealth and they display, like for example, like a Diddy, right? So he has true wealth.
Hey Diddy, I love you, I miss you. Shout out.
Right? So you can see his wealth on the outside, but you also know Diddy has wealth on the inside. But the true wealth part is not actually what he's showing. His true wealth is his investments, his bank account. So to me, how I am able to sidestep is that I'm working on my true wealth. I mean, what's happening on the background. Right. You know, now if I want to, go on vacation, a lavish vacation, I can do those things, but I really want to make sure, because the truth is I started late. Because I lost everything during the 2008 recession. I pulled all the money out of my retirement account. and the business didn't really start taking off until 5 years ago. So I'm catching up. So even though I see the Birkins and whatever, I'm like, give me a few more years. I wanna get myself to a place that no matter what happens, it's unshakable. So that's how I can stay on the straight and narrow, because honestly, I have a bigger goal in mind, which is true wealth. But it doesn't mean I don't go on vacations. It doesn't mean that I don't get nice things. It's just relative to like what my goals are. To me, 7 figures in my bank account, in my investment account, like that's what I'm saying. Like my husband and I are saving now. We bought an investment property. We're almost finished renovating it, and the next we're saving for the next investment property. When we got married 3 years ago, we didn't have a wedding. I'm Nigerian, right? So I was born here, but my parents are Nigerian.
Yeah.
And if you've been to a Nigerian wedding, a small Nigerian wedding, it's like 500 people. That's a small wedding, right? And my mom was like, "Oh my goodness, you're not going to have a wedding? Who will I tell the aunties?" Right? And so she was like opening her little wallet, like, "You need money?" I'm like, "Ma'am." She didn't know what my business was doing. Yeah. And so instead, we bought the house that I live in cash and renovated it cash and paid off her and my dad's home and paid off my student loans. So she was like, "Oh." She was like, "Oh, wait,
having a Nigerian wedding."
Yes. And so
she was rice will have to wait.
Exactly. So now she understands, because in my mind, I said, "Tiffany, yes, I can have this big splashy wedding. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a joyous occasion." Yeah. But I really wanted to build my true wealth, because when my home was taken during the last recession, I said never again. And so this home is paid off. And so with this recession, although I worried about other things, I wasn't worried about them coming to take this house. There's no mortgage. I wasn't worried about, because my parents are retired, I wasn't worried about them taking my parents' house because I paid off their mortgage. I wasn't worried about taking their investment property so to me, that's what motivates me to keep going. Not to say I don't see those things and I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of nice," but I'm like, well, let's focus on the focus, Tiffany. I want you to build true wealth, which is behind the scenes. It doesn't mean that it doesn't display itself publicly. Like I said, like Diddy's got true wealth behind the scenes. He has plenty of money to display publicly. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh. I can't, y'all. I can't. I know that you are just tuning in. The time is now. We're sitting down with the true Budgetnista. And even her, I love this, because you're saying I still have to plan. I still have to prioritize. I still have to save, even if I've already made it. And Tiffany, let's talk about this too. I think I look at you like an inspiration. Everyone is here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I aspire to be where you are. But does self-doubt ever get in your mind? Do you ever like look and be like, "I'm not there yet," or I don't.
Every day, girl. When y'all say I made it, I'm like, I don't think I made it. I think I got a long way to go. I think I'm at the end of the beginning of my journey. That's what I see myself. I'm at the end of the beginning. Like if this was your journey like this, right? Yeah. So I'm here. I'm just at the cusp of the middle. I have not peaked yet. I have not made it. There's so much more on the horizon for me. I feel it and I know it. Like this is like, catch me in 5 years, you're gonna be like, "Oh," catch me in 10 years, you're gonna be like, "Okay." Yeah,
like, Tiffany, we on the yacht. Here I come.
Right? I did not believe
you. Like, I paid cash for the yacht. I'm like, dang.
There's still so many things I have yet to accomplish. I don't believe that I've made it yet, but I do believe that I will, because I bet on me. I bet on me. I was telling someone the other day, like one of my
stop real quick. Teacher moment, write it down. I bet on me.
Yes, I bet on me. I was telling one of my mentees, she's an influencer. She's doing well. She's like making money, and I was like, "This is good." I said, "But you want to be mindful," because I was teaching her how to bet on her. I said, "You want to be mindful that as these companies are using your influence to sell their products, that you are also simultaneously building your own." I said, "Because they're coming through you, because that's where the power lies." So for me, I do a little bit of influence work, right? Yeah. But for the most part, I save my influence for my stuff. Because when I'm no longer the hot young thing, right? And they move on to somebody else, then what? Like, if all of my money comes from that company, so it's like, basically I always say to myself, I don't need you to pay me. I pay me. Right? So keep that in mind.
Does anybody else have chills? Does anyone else have chills? I bet on me. And I love that, because your answer to my question, we talked about like, do insecurities creep in, and do you ever feel not good enough?
I do.
If you said I do, but I still bet on me.
Yes. Because it's the only thing that I have control over. That's what I've learned. That, that like I can work really hard, I can do all these other things, but if the external things, I don't have choices there. The only thing I can control is I can wake up a little earlier. I can answer a few more emails. I could get on a Saturday live. I could read a book, right? I can listen to a podcast. The only thing I have control over is me. So even though that someone asked me like how do I build confidence, and the way that I build confidence is to build my skills, my knowledge base, my acumen, practice. That's the only way, is to do the thing over and over. And so even though I'm not 100%, confident in necessarily all the things I do know this is the only place that I have 100% control, is what I do.
I bet on me.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, Tiffany, you are amazing, and we are learning so much. As teachers, educators, on our show here, The Time Is Now, we give sentence starters. I'm going to give you 3 sentences, and I want you to complete them for me, okay? Sentence number 1, 2020 taught me.
2020 taught me how something that can turn into a challenge can easily be a triumph.
Challenge is a triumph.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the most powerful when.
I feel the most powerful when I'm teaching.
When you're teaching, when you're on stage, from little ones to adults.
Yep.
I splurge on.
I splurge on help. So for the first time this year, I know it sounds so crazy, but I hired someone to help clean my house, and I hired someone to help cook food. And so my husband, he grew up projects, poor. And so it was hard for us both. We were like, but babe, we can clean. Yeah, girl, Tiffany, you make enough money to have someone come clean this house. It's like $130, girl. Now, because it's hard for me to let that go, but investing money into getting help, because literally my sister said, what is the money for if not to make your life a little easier? And so, yep. And so that's what I splurge on. I splurge on help. Like, okay, who can help me cook? Who can help me clean? And I encourage every woman to ask herself, this is what one of my coaches had me do. Yeah. She had me ask myself, what does my perfect day look like? And one of the things I wrote down was I didn't have to worry about what my family was going to have for dinner, because that was stressful for me. Because every day I'd be working, and then I'd look like, oh, it's 4, it's 5 o'clock. Oh, what are we going to eat? Yeah. And it was very stressful, because then, especially if I had maybe a live or an interview, and maybe I didn't get to cook dinner till 7 or 8, I just felt guilty. And also too, I felt guilty about not getting to the cleaning. My husband is super helpful. So we have a good sized house. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So he can't do all that by himself. And so I was like, these are 2 things. She's like, you can handle this right now. Get someone to help you cook, and get yourself a cleaning lady. And I was like, that's money. She's like, yes, money that you have.
And it helped for you to put your energy towards what's needed. Oftentimes, there's so many different types of moms on this show. You might be a single mom, you might be a married mom, you might be a stay-at-home mom, a working mom. And I think we carry so much of that. It's just even being wives. I was married, back in the day. And it's just like you want to have it all. And you might need to ask for help so that you can continue to bet on you.
Yeah.
So as we get ready to close out, what are 3 things people can do to prepare themselves financially for 2021? What can they do? What are 3 things that they could just start doing today?
So 1, automate. Like, automation is the new discipline. Automate your bills.
Yeah.
Automate your savings. Automation is really going to help take the human element out of it. When you automate, you don't have to think about it. You can set it and semi-forget it. That's 1. 2, set a big goal, right? So one time I had written down for myself, 10 years ago, all the things that I wanted to do. And I said how much it was going to cost me to be able to do that. I would have to make $300,000 a year in order to accomplish all this. This is what I wrote down 10 years ago. And I was like, it sounded like saying I have to make $20 million a year. But I wrote it down anyway. And I wrote myself a check, and I set myself that big goal. And I've already smashed through that goal. I just shared with you, my company makes $10 million a year. So we smashed through that goal. So set a big goal. And I'm not saying you're gonna make it happen in 2021, but you start to put your start to align yourself. And 3 for 2021, what I would say is align yourself with the proper energies. Like you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And people think it doesn't matter when it comes to your finances. It does. If all your friends splurge, you will splurge too. So I have a mix, like if none of your friends are investing, like I have an investment WhatsApp with my friends. One of my girlfriends, she is like so good at stocks and stuff. Like, so that's not like I'm not the investinista, I'm the budgetnista. So she will
Right?
explain to us like, this is the stock, why I like it. I mean, I literally bought a stock that for $3 that's now worth $103 because it was one that she explained to us why she thought it was so good.
Yeah.
But you see that the company you surround yourself with,
Go
so
ahead
those
and add me on that. Go ahead and add me in the group chat. Listen, that's incredible. Surround yourself. Set a big goal.
And automate.
Automate. Tiffany, what are you looking forward to? What projects do you have coming up? What are you looking forward to in 2021 for yourself?
So there's a bunch of big projects I can't quite speak on, but something that I actually did this year that was a full circle moment was my very first children's book. Everything's so cute.
Oh, I got it.
Right? Because, as a fellow chocolate girl, you know how we didn't see us on books.
Representation.
And look at her 4C hair. I was like, look,
she's beautiful.
What I say is I would say I love the, I love Tia and Tamara. That's what I call the sister look. But I wanted I wanted a chocolate baby who had hair like mine. You guys see I have locks.
Yes.
And when I used to read to my preschoolers, there weren't enough books with us on it. I taught in Newark, New Jersey, and most of the kids look like me. And I'm like, well, where is that on these books? And plus, two, I wanted to give kids and parents a solid foundation for financial education. So I wrote this book. So this is not just a regular book. This is a pre-financial education book on purpose. And because, as a teacher, we always do the most. At the back of the book, I have extend the lesson. And
Come on,
educator.
I'm not playing with y'all.
Yes. So if you're trying to figure out how do I teach my 3 to 7-year-old age-appropriate financial education, at the back, I have the extend the lesson questions and activities that you can do. It's about this little brown, beautiful girl.
Listen,
it's
you
her
guys,
birthday.
After this live, go buy that book.
Yes. Oh, you can get it at, her name is Molly Moore. It's mollymore.com, MALIMORE, mollymore.com. But yeah, I'm super excited about it because I don't know if y'all know, but I wrote a financial education law along with an assemblywoman friend of mine for the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
So now all middle schoolers in the state of New Jersey get financial education in school. New Jersey already had a law for high school, and we're working on one for elementary school. So financial education from the little ones on up is critically important because you can get your 3 and 4-year-old straight, then that 30-year-old won't be sleeping on your couch. Okay?
Girl, look, listen, me and Tiffany gonna talk every week. I'll be here, okay? Tiffany, so thinking about education and that bill that you passed in middle school, amazing. And I have so many colleagues, because I'm a KIPster, so I work at KIP schools. And I have, yes. So I have people who are in New Jersey KIP, I can't wait. But what would you go back and tell your 7th grade self?
I would tell her that, she's smarter than she thinks. She's cuter than she knows, because I was so awkward. I just didn't think I was cute. I hated my dark skin. I hated my kinky hair. I just thought it was such a bad thing. Smarter than she thinks. She's cuter than she knows, and to not let people treat her just any kind of way, that she is worthy of good treatment. Because in with middle schoolers, it is just such a hard time on your self-esteem. And I didn't have any. So I just assumed if someone treated me poorly, that is what I deserve, And so I would have told her, like, no, girl, like, you deserve all good things. And if they're coming to you, that people will love you and like you. Because I was also the class clown, because I was trying to earn that respect and love and adoration, And so, but now I'm just like, and we're grateful for it. Very few people come out the womb feeling confident, but I wish I could have told her. I wish I could have given her the biggest hug, like, girl, you are cute, you are smart, and don't let them talk to you like that. Shoot, like my dad would say when I come home with my friends from me to me, because he's like, you got friends at home. There are 4 sisters in this house. You were born with friends.
I love that. Oh, Tiffany! Oh, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you. You have blessed us on this live today. You have given us so many tools. And I just love that you are in such a world of finance, and as a woman of color. and you are so authentically yourself. And you are
Thank
just
you.
a true example of showing us all that the time is now. Do what you got to do. Bet on yourself. Oh, Tiffany, I know that we're going to continue to see you. You've already made it, girl, in all of our eyes, but I know that you're going to continue that bar. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us. We are soul sisters. I'm going to be calling you like, Tiffany, okay, I got $15. I don't know what to do with it.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
having me. Thank you.
So, and we're going to have you back in March.
Yes.
And in June. And you're going to come talk to Tina's Angels. And you're just going to continue to do amazing things. What an honor. We have learned so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. You guys, how insane was today? I cannot literally take it. I'm processing. I need to go. Like, some people are saying, like, we all need a break. We all need to go meditate after this, because Tiffany gave us so many incredible takeaways and gems. Thank y'all for spending Saturday with me here on The Time Is Now. I wanted this platform to just continue to encourage women, to encourage us to be ourselves, to step on us, and like Tiffany said, to bet on who we are. Oh, I'm so filled. And as we move into December, we have some time to really continue to reflect, to see how we are going to show up and show out in 2021. And I love this, because I think when you think about money conversations, oftentimes we feel like, well, I don't have enough. And Tiffany spoke from just a higher self the whole time. And so I feel empowered. Listen, I'm getting ready to bet on me. I'm not going to spend no money today for the rest of our weekend. And I'm just going to continue to be great. We have 3 more episodes coming to y'all. Tune in next Saturday. After the live, I will save it. Please comment. I want us to feel, everything we put, like, write it down, put it in the comments so people can feel inspired to share and enjoy. The Time Is Now with Kasiopia. The revolution marches on.